thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
There's a third person who's just out.
He's there. You can hear him coughing in the distance.
You can hear him dying there.
Yeah.
Oh, there, here he comes.
If you want something to drink, we also have some.
I've got the water.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want something with a little bit more pep, we've got that fridge. But
no stimulants. No
stimulants. Right.
Only gin.
That's a good one to choose. So. We have some good local gins.
Belgian gin, yes.
Yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Jason Della Rocca. Been in the game industry for over 25 years, so I'm old and crusty.
We'll just call it
aren't we all
experienced?
Experienced.
Senior.
I have no talent. So I'm more on the business side.
Oh, you fit right in with us then. You also have no talent.
Help developers to succeed. A lot of the stuff I've been doing is around the funding and pitching and working with developers to build up their fan bases and make games that can actually succeed in the marketplace. And
everything actual developers really suck at.
Well, I call it feeding them the business broccoli. No one wants to eat their broccoli. Yeah. But when I force you to eat it, then all of a sudden you feel better and healthier and you're good for it. I
love broccoli.
Yeah, well, I don't know. What's the least favorite vegetable here? Well, Brussels sprouts? Or?
No, I actually love them as well.
I'm
the odd one out.
Witlof?
Yeah, how do you say
I love
witlof?
I don't know. How do you say witlof?
It's bitter.
Like somebody will probably say it for us.
Witlof.
Witlof. It's like a very regional thing. Like schorseneren, that's also something.
I love schorseneren.
I'm not
I don't like mushrooms.
But saying your business schorseneren doesn't quite sound as smooth as your business broccoli.
Chicon? Yeah.
No, that's French.
That's French as well. Like, in any case,
sprouts.
Yeah, broccoli. That's also not so. It's a little fact for Inside Out. That there's a scene where they have
chicory.
Chicory,
that's a bit sour. But
it's a little bit.
I like chicory.
I like to like
cauliflower is good.
I love cauliflower as well.
Cold chicory I really like, but like when it's cooked, I don't like it anymore. It's like then it's.
I love it all.
It gets a bit too bitter.
I'm a veggie guy.
So most developers don't like the business stuff. They don't like market. But listen, they didn't get the training. They're artists, they're programmers, they're animators, they're writers, they're musicians, they're all these amazing things, but no one ever taught them the business stuff.
No.
And yet they go out in the world hoping that they'll succeed and make money and have a game that players will want, and more often than not, they don't. And they crash and burn, and they leave the industry, which means we lose that talent and all their experience. And so, someone's got to feed them their business broccoli. So that's a lot of stuff that I do.
I'm a game developer myself. I've tried to make video games. I've made video games. I've released video games. And they've all failed miserably because the marketing part has always been lost on me. I'll be honest with that. It's a very difficult thing to get your head around.
Eat your broccoli, bro.
Yeah, that's true. That's the problem. It's always been trying to do it yourself, trying to get a grasp on it. But it's like trying to fit the square part in the round hole. Basically, it's not everybody can do every skill.
A lot of devs think sending 2 tweets and
no,
it's sold.
No,
no, it isn't.
No way.
It's networking.
We haven't introduced ourselves yet.
That's
Janox. I'm Espe. This is Jerry. We're a gaming podcast called Game Kast.
Nice.
Where we just do weekly episodes on just the news and what we've played, do some reviews and stuff.
And you're based here in Kortrijk?
No, we're based in Belgium, which is
all over.
Could have been Kortrijk. It's just so small. But we've been invited by Unwrap for the second year in a row to sit here in the bus and just invite everyone who's interesting to have a talk about the field of expertise, and just have some fun, just talk.
Now, Jerry, you're a game developer. Are you guys also game devs?
He's a game developer. I'm a content creator, influencer, and he is a developer for iOS.
Yeah, I'm an app developer and technical stuff.
And
esports.
He's
esports.
Esports specialist. And
but what, like a shoutcaster or something? Or
no. I prefer the business side and just being the expert, the analyst, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and he used to have one of the biggest collection in gaming in Belgium. Also, but he sold it, so not anymore.
This is one of the few remnants.
Yeah.
True. I was saying I have the Master Chief head, but the one that's signed by all the team members.
Oh yeah, totally not a flex. Wow.
Yeah.
So, what games have you helped succeed in terms of that you can say like
I've heard your name 4 times already today, so it must mean something.
They were swearing, or that bastard.
I'm not saying until
broccoli.
Until you
Della Broccoli.
until you
tried to force feed me some broccoli.
Yeah. He's part of the broccoli lobby.
Well. I mean, just to show my age, one of my first game credits was Baldur's Gate 1 in 97, 98.
Ooh, from
BioWare, yeah, Canadian. I mean, I'm based in Canada. They're from Canada.
And now you have Baldur's Gate
3.
like 30
down
miles
the street
from here.
Yeah, I had nothing to do with Baldur's Gate 3.
Crazy.
Which city?
I'm based in Montreal, but BioWare built Baldur's Gate, the original one in Edmonton. So way up north, buried under the ice.
No wonder they make such crazy stuff.
So that's. I mean, more recently. I mean, really too many games. But on my speech, I gave the example of Tribes of Midgard. So there's a studio, one of the studios that we invested in called Norsefell, where actually the co-founder is Belgian.
Yeah.
Julian Marotta. So they released a great game called Tribes of Midgard, kind of Viking survival game, and they've sold upwards of 4 million copies.
Wow,
so
crazy.
Yeah, that's that game was very popular when it came out.
Yeah, it's a really good game as well.
Montreal, so you're super into poutine, right?
I love poutine. Yeah.
What have you tried the fries here?
They're okay. Yeah.
Whoa, damn.
There goes our pride.
Have you tried the Belgian poutine?
Well, that's not poutine.
No, it's better.
It's not.
So it's basically... Sorry, fietjesstofvlees.
Yeah, I mean, it's
give
different.
Me that axe. Give me that axe.
So basically it's fries with stew, with like a beef stew
There's beer
and
in it.
mayonnaise.
There's
That's
beer
like...
in it.
What?
That's not poutine.
No, but it's like that's the equivalent of a Belgian poutine. Like
it tastes quite similar, actually.
Yeah.
I had poutine 2 weeks ago or something.
Where?
In Toronto.
That doesn't count. It has to come from Quebec.
Yeah, well, but that's what they all told
That's
me.
what they all
That
said.
it's better in Quebec, apparently. And I actually really liked it. I'm not gonna lie, but it's not comparable to what we have here.
So because it's beef stew, it's also like it's a little bit different, and you need the mayonnaise.
You know what Canadians really suck at?
What?
Using spices. Everything is so bland.
You can't just generalize all Canadians just because you went to Toronto.
I think I went to like, let's say 40 restaurants in the last year there. There were...
Why are you going to Toronto so much?
Because I have a client there.
Come to Montreal.
Yeah. I know.
We got spices. We put spices on our broccoli.
I think that's probably that.
There's always spices on the table. I'm always like, have you tried these? Everything is so bland.
Yeah, it's probably the American influence.
It's so bad.
You need the French influence for actual flavor.
I mean, Canada is pretty diverse in terms of all the different cultures and immigrants and so on. So the cuisines are. I mean, it's just you're going to the wrong restaurants, I think.
Probably the second biggest Sikh community in the world, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In Montreal, we have a lot of like Middle Eastern and European, and then also from like French Caribbean because of the the French language. So yeah, there's
then you have the good. Then you have the
you
good
can speak
influence.
French, of course. Oh, nice. I can't.
And you have all the right influences for good food.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the Caribbean.
Right. Sorry for interrupting. So Baldur's Gate 1.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 1.
That was the first one.
One of my first credits, yeah. So if you have a original boxed edition, I mean at that point they only came in boxes.
Yeah.
The internet barely existed. You open up the credits and there'll be my name in there.
That's still one of my life goals.
Yeah.
Have a physical game with my name on it.
Well,
I have a DVD with my name on it, and they spelled it wrong.
Oh no!
No.
That's crazy.
So how did you? Because you're like a marketing expert. Can we say that?
Kind of.
How did you stumble into that? I mean, did you stumble into that just like from 12 years old and saying, I'm going to be a marketing expert?
No. I mean, when you're a little nerdy kid, you have aspirations of making your own games and this kind of stuff. You play games and, do all the D&D and Magic and all that kind of stuff. But as I said, I have no talent. So at school, I was more on the business side, right? I was in Bachelor of Commerce. And I was actually studying to be an accountant of all things because I was good with numbers. And I didn't, you're a kid, you don't know what you want to be. And I got a job and I did it for one day. And the next day I came in, it's like, I'm out of here.
This ain't the truth.
Never again. Never again. And I'm giving you the short version, but like I bought a copy of Wired magazine and HTML2. And I was living in Montreal, where at the time there really wasn't much of a game industry. Now Montreal is one of the top, like thousands of game developers, hundreds of studios. Yeah. But at the time there was, barely nothing. And so even though my dream was to be in the game industry and to make games, I'm like, maybe this multimedia web stuff will be at least something kind of interesting and fun. So I kind of learned that, and then quickly kind of switched from that stuff into 3D. So I worked at Silicon Graphics, which most people on the Twitter will have no idea who Silicon Graphics is. But back in the day, they made the mainframe computers that did all the Hollywood VFX rendering and stuff. So like Tron and The Abyss and some of the early
big PCs to make it all on. And then, of course, what they're mostly known for without people knowing is actually the Nintendo 64. Where they did the graphics chip for the Nintendo 64.
So I was at Silicon Graphics when they walked in the room with an N64 with this SGI chip in the N64.
Those purple, those beautiful purple devices, computers that they used to make
the Onyx and O2 and stuff. Yeah, well,
such
you're old enough to kind of remember that a little bit as a game developer, but most people have no clue. So from there, then I ended up going to work at a company called Matrox, which did some of the early 3D graphics chips. Now everyone either has like an NVIDIA card or an ATI. So way back in the day when 3D chips were brand new, there was like a dozen cards.
Yeah, the Voodoo
3D FX and Rendition and Power VR. And so Matrox was making the Mystique and the Millennium and the M3D, the G200. I remember... Jeez, man, this is probably mid-late night. I forget the year. We were at Core Design, the creators of
Tomb Raider
and Lara Croft.
Yeah, he has a tattoo of Tomb Raider.
Tattoo. Oh, no way.
But it's not the Core Design.
This is more modern
Crystal
one.
Dynamics one. But
Core Design is the original one I played. But
we all had those triangular
But you remember the very first version of Tomb Raider was an MS-DOS game.
Yeah.
Well, I started too, so I'm younger.
I still have the box from the first one.
So we went in to recode the game to talk to the 3D chip on the Millennium, the Mystique, whatever, in assembly. So not using Direct 3D didn't even exist then. The different APIs. So we actually had our engineers coding in assembly to have the game talk directly to the chip, so that Lara Croft could have 3D accelerated. Pixels.
Because 3D pyramid tits.
But still terrible. But so we were, anyway, so we had fun sort of doing a whole bunch of those really early 3D stuff. And that's actually how I ended up in Baldur's Gate 1, is that we worked with the team on fixing some of their graphics rendering pipeline stuff.
Because was that still DOS or 100% Windows at that point?
Oh, jeez, I don't remember.
Yeah, because then, of course, when DirectX came along, it got a lot easier that way because you had something more direct to speak with and not...
Well, it's really fun because in those early days, Microsoft used to hold an event called Meltdown. It was like a conference, and not a conference like this, but it was a conference for all the chip makers and game developers doing 3D games. And you would go to a hotel, there'd be some speeches about the upcoming roadmap for DirectX and so on. But each vendor, each chip company would take out a suite, and we would pull out the bed and all the furniture, and the game developers would go from suite to suite with the builds of their game and load it on your developmental machine with your prototype chip to see if it would melt the computer. So that's why the event was called Meltdown. So you were testing the next gen chips, all this kind of stuff, and devs would come. And I remember way back in the day, this is mid-late 90s, having calls with John Carmack, creator of Doom and Quake and so on.
And now one of the evangelists when it comes to VR.
Genius. Yeah. Talking about sort of roadmap for the 3D graphic. And also Tim Sweeney from Epic. So when Tim, they were building the original Unreal and Unreal Tournament, and they were just starting to look at sort of abstracting out the engine to make the Unreal Engine. And we were having calls with Tim Sweeney and the Epic team, the Unreal team, about their thinking and roadmap for the Unreal Engine, what direction it was going in. And I also remember late 90s, we got a call from Microsoft. and Microsoft were like, we're working on something top secret called the X project.
Oh.
Like, what? What's this? What's this? Oh, it's going to be a console, a game console.
Yeah.
Do you want your 3D chip to be inside the X project?
Yeah.
And so we actually submitted a proposal for our, upcoming chip, whatever. We lost that deal. In the end, the very first Xbox had an NVIDIA chip, was the NV1, one of the early NVIDIA chips. But yeah, so it was a really fun.
You could have almost been one of the fathers of Xbox.
Yeah.
So close.
The golden era of gaming, though.
Yeah, of 3D.
Yeah.
Well, gaming.
Yeah, I think that's like when Xbox entered it completely changed the game, of course, and I think that's where we really got into the modern phase of gaming, where the Rockstar days are kind of evolving into like the real industry at that point. Yeah. Because before it was kind of still the Wild West, right?
Well, you know what? It still is kind of wild.
Yeah, it's
wild
still
out
like
there.
Developers are still wild.
Yeah.
They're the craziest characters you can encounter sometimes.
I mean, there's these sort of big waves, and in many ways, one of those big waves was happening at that time. I would say was largely driven by broadband.
Oh yeah,
right. Digital,
yeah.
Right. Because as we were joking before, we had boxes, right, and that was the way things got distributed. It meant that the investment required to get on the shelf, and the shelf was the only option. Games didn't exist anywhere else. You had to print the discs and have the boxes and put them in trucks and send them to the stores, and so
like shareware was basically you copy a disc from somebody else, and that's how you got shareware and stuff. Yeah,
you're like handing around discs.
Handing around discs.
But what it meant is that those old school publishers really controlled the shelf.
Yeah.
And they had the relationships with the EB and Best Buy and Walmart, et cetera. And there was no concept of indie because you just couldn't do it. And so broadband and things like XBLA.
I think Doom is like one of the only ones who did it themselves for a long.
Which one?
Like Doom 1, it's not the same like indie, of course, but they had that idea of you had to call in and order it back then as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and it was shareware,
and
I mean, they really innovative. I mean, they were innovative technology-wise, but business model, And it was shareware, in that you would play. I forget what it even was.
The first chapter,
and then if you wanted more, then you had to call and get the disc and all that kind of
stuff.
But at a certain point, they did get a publisher, GT Interactive, and then they actually did the boxes and on the shelf.
And then it got on every system known to man.
Everyone.
And birth control pills. What was it? Like, does it run Doom? Is like somebody put on a, what is it called? Not a birth control, like a pregnancy test. They had Doom running on a pregnancy test.
Actually did.
Anything with the screen.
That's the whole meme, right?
They even got that's maybe how they should have shipped their game, is not go to the shelf, but just pregnancy
Doom test.
You're either gonna have a kid or you're gonna play a great game. Doom.
All of it.
It's all Doom.
Anyway, so it's fun. It's fun to those kind of old days.
Yeah, it's completely different, and we always talk about like when we have people who were also like journalists in those days, like how, of course, as marketing, you notice too, like the craziness that was that era of press events. And when did you shift to the marketing side?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm more on the developer marketing side, which today means much more about engaging with content creators and community and building up your audience. I'm not the PR style of marketing. That stuff, someone else can handle that. I'm really more about building your audience. So I was never in the PR circuit where a lot of that crazy stuff happened. I mean, a little bit. I remember once, many years ago at E3, there was like a party at the Playboy Mansion, which got a bit crazy.
Oh, was it for Playboy the game?
No, that was even before.
That was even before, yeah.
That was Sony and Psygnosis. I don't know.
Like Wipeout, probably. Yeah.
So there's been some wild stuff like that, or at GDC, some of the parties and stuff. But I was never on the pure PR side. So
we've heard some. The thing is, everyone is like, I'm not going to tell that story on the podcast. So there's always like these.
Yeah, it's like the rockstar days of game development.
I mean, half of it is just geeks that don't know how to handle themselves. that are socially awkward or just never did that when they were in school because they were too busy playing D&D and games, and now they're out in the real world and they have
with
money,
actual money,
and then they kind of go. I mean, maybe just to sort of point the finger at the Microsoft, the Xbox people, for a few years. Like they would throw parties at industry events, and all they would do is like blast the music. It felt like a really bad high school dance. So you just know that there was someone on the team like, it's my turn to like plan a party, and I didn't go to prom or whatever. And they just like it's their version of what that is supposed to be.
That still happens if I'm invited to a launch event. Gotham Knights did that.
Oh, that was like, bad.
Just a small room with beautiful costume design. They had like mannequins with the costume designs from the 4 main characters on, like beautifully done. But then it was this DJ who just blasted music so
super
loudly.
Small space.
Nobody could talk.
We wanted to talk about the game.
Yeah,
we were like, what?
Influencers don't get to meet each other all that often. So when there's finally an event, we're like, oh, how are you doing? And tell about the plans. Just shout it over the mute. No, it just.
One of my favorite videos on the internet is that one video of the launch. I think it's of Windows 95, where they're like dancing, like Ballmer and Bill Gates, and everybody is like dancing. It's so awkward and it's so perfect. It's so perfect. It's like the perfect video. And those days are over. Like that's now they learned how to kind of lock that away.
Well, there's something pure about that, but also it's not
like
a great
they
party.
had The Rock present the Xbox.
Or
was it the 360? I can't remember.
The Xbox One. It was presented by The Rock. In
New York or something.
So when did you shift from more the development side to?
So in the early 2000s, I ended up. I was fired under suspicion of corporate espionage. So that kind of that's a whole story.
That sounds like just a regular other day.
Related to the Xbox, but that's I'm not gonna. I'm legally obligated not to tell that story.
That's okay.
Damn it, we could have had a scoop.
So then I kind of bounced around a bit, and then ended up as the director of the International Game Developers Association, so the IGDA.
IDGF. Yeah.
So I was kind of burnt out a little bit from these other roles and this kind of nonprofit, helping the industry, working with developers, professionalize the game development. It sounded very appealing to me, and so I ended up kind of working with the association for almost 9 years.
Wow.
So that's not marketing per se, but it's more kind of macro working industry, helping
getting
developers
the industry
succeed.
As a whole forward, right?
Yeah, exactly. Leveling up everyone, and really allowed me to travel the world and sort of visit game developers from the 4 corners of the globe.
You had your own awards too, like the IDGF, right?
Yeah, well, IGF, the Independent Games Festival, was part of GDC.
Yeah,
and then IGDA co-created the Game Developer Choice Awards.
Yeah, those.
Which runs every year at GDC.
Yeah.
So I actually I built those awards. So that was one of the things I did back in 2001 or 2002. So IGF existed before that, but it was myself and the director of GDC at the time, sort of the two like leaders of we sat in a dark room and kind of designed the whole program. It's evolved quite a bit over the years, but the original design was.
They always get it's like at GDC.
Yeah, GDC, March, right? San Francisco.
Yeah. That's when they get an award.
Yeah. So anyway, so I did that for 9 years and then stepped down, and then after that, then I was doing more consulting work, and that's kind of more where the shift.
Yeah.
Doing more hands-on work with developers, helping them with the business side of things, with funding and pitching and community building and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which has gotten more important than ever. I feel
absolutely.
Because now. Like, what is it? Every day, I think like 5 or 10 games get released.
Yeah, it's
right?
more. It's more.
It's insane.
I mean, on the App Store at peak, it was like 500 games a day. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those obviously were just
shite.
Yeah,
but on
garbage.
Steam, even now, it's like
hundreds,
every day.
hundreds,
It's incredible how many get released. And there's just if you just put your game out in the void, you're just really tossing it into the void.
Now, listen, if you're doing it as a passion, as a hobby, as a part-time on the weekends, you're sort of just noodling around with some code and you're putting stuff. No pressure. Do whatever you want. You're just doing it for fun. You're learning. You're just expressing yourself. But if you're sitting there saying, "Oh, this is going to be my career. I'm going to build a business and pay wages, and that's how I'm going to feed myself and pay rent for me and my cowork," like you can't just throw stuff into the void. Like you have to think about these. Call it the business broccoli stuff. Like you have to think about that, or you're going to be homeless and penniless, on the street.
And in many ways, it has gotten easier, or let's say cheaper,
to make a game.
To make and to promote it in a different, but it's also gotten more difficult. Like the traditional media side is kind of almost out, right?
Yeah. Magazines and press and stuff. It's very much less influential.
Yeah,
and it's the content creators, right?
Yeah.
It's the people that have an audience. That
people like this guy that completely control the narrative now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but well, I mean, in many ways, I prefer that than worrying about the press.
That's there was this journalist we know who wrote a book about gaming history and his take on it, and there was this one part where he wrote about content creators and how they're taking over just the journalism side of it, because we can be bought. We don't have to have a critical vision on a game. We just
don't have journalistic integrity.
Just take the money, play the game, sometimes pretend we like it, and that's it. And he hates that with a passion. And he named me by name. And we invited him on the podcast before knowing. You wrote a book, and come talk about it. So he came in and said, like, first I want to apologize. I mean, I agree with him. Actually, I read the part, and I completely agree with him. But
it's not a personal attack. It's just
it's like an analytical from an analytical.
But of course, from your standpoint, it's better.
It's more effective.
Yeah.
Well, it's what we do with the podcast as well. Even if it's a shitty game from 10 years ago, and we rant about it for an hour, that you should buy it.
Yeah.
People are still buying. People are still buying NAC 2 because we keep telling people like you should play NAC 2.
Well, it was better than most.
Than one, yeah.
Wow. NAC 1 was a bad game, but NAC 2 it was not bad.
Nice.
So I prefer this type of content, and that's how I see or consume reviewing for like if I'm gonna purchase a game or not. But I understand for journalists that it's different.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't think journalism can be unbiased.
Yeah, listen, these journalists are not angels themselves, right? I mean, the money and editorials and all this kind of stuff, the junkets that we were mentioning before, I mean, this all kind of plays into that. I mean, I think the product review piece in particular was always kind of rife with problems and tension and conflicts. I mean, I like journalism in terms of the more macro side, right? Looking at sort of overarching trends in the industry and what's happening, and looking at controversies and this kind of stuff, like proper journalism. But like focusing, like to me, game journalism shouldn't mean reviews. Product reviews.
But we never do reviews. We just tell
our hands-on experience.
Yeah, and what we like and what we don't like, and we don't tell people exactly like if you should buy it.
And in some cases, like what's interesting for our format as a podcast is we can tell our experiences from week to week, because it can sometimes evolve. Like some games you can have the best 30 minutes of your life in the first 30 minutes, and then after it just drops. But you always remember like the like most reviews, they don't always have the time to complete the game. They can only review X amount of the game, so you never have that full scope as well. So that's what, or sometimes it can even turn around. Like, the longer I've been playing it, it really nestled in me because I didn't have the great impression the first 5 minutes. So or you can have games like Hades where you really have to pour in the amount of time to really get what they're trying to tell. So
nice.
It's different. So for you, what's the challenge? What's the most difficult challenge you face in your job?
Oh, it's repeating the same lessons over and over again.
It's like we're bad students.
Yeah. It's like it's a problem with the developer species. right? They're just so blind to all of this, and in many ways they have to hit the wall before they'll listen.
And why do you think that they don't seem to?
Because there's a bunch of things. One is that they're creatively driven, right? They're doing it for passion. They're not doing it because they're a banker and this is the best way to make money. It's they have something they want to create. They want to code and animate and design and build, and so it's really driven by a creative drive and desire. That and it's hit driven, and you never quite know what's going to succeed. And there's not too many, but there are enough examples of someone who toiled away in their garage for 7 years and then released Stardew Valley, and then boom, 10 million. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just go hide in my garage for 7 years, and I'll make a thing.
Yeah.
And then I'll become a millionaire. And so there's just enough of those stories that you have a sense of like, well, of course my thing is going to be millions and millions. And it happens. But you also get hit by lightning. But how often does that?
Yeah, like Among Us is a success story that doesn't make any sense from any point because they failed first and then they became a success. Yeah. But most games never have that second chance.
It's like winning the lottery.
Yeah,
well, exactly. Yeah.
They all play, but there's only a few who won.
And they didn't even expect it at that point. Right?
They were moving on.
They were already moving on, and then they were like, "Oh, what the hell? We have a success on our hands. What do we?" They had to shift into gear with handling that as well, which is crazy when you think about it. But I think we have to realize
it's the lottery. It's the lottery. He nailed it. It's there's enough people that win the lottery that you think, I'll win the lottery.
Yeah, every developer is basically buying their tickets. Yeah, that's true.
So a lot of the work I do is about like lottery is not realistic. You can't
can't bet on the lottery.
Exactly. And so how do I engineer my success? How do I take the steps that are required to increase the probability,
reduce the risk,
and reduce risk, and make a game that I'm passionate about, make a game that fans are going to love. But then how do I engage with those fans? How do I build that community? How do I run play tests and get input? How do I find and connect with content creators so that they fall in love with the game and tell their fans, and take those steps along the way. And sort of make a great game, but also make a great game that will be played by, millions of players.
And I can hire you now.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, that's good. But it's basically you provide this service for anybody around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I travel quite a bit. I come to conferences like this. I'll often go in and do work at different incubators, right? So now we have the Flanders Game Hub. Yeah. But there are similar type of hubs and incubators that exist elsewhere in the world that are trying to guide and mentor and feed the broccoli to their startups and studios. And so I often get invited by those kind of entities to go in. So, for example, in 2 weeks, I'm going down to Brazil and running some business boot camps. I'll be in Uruguay, also running some business sessions. Then I'm off to South Africa for Africa Games Week, running similar sessions. And then I'm going over to Abu Dhabi to run some stuff.
So you spend more time on airplanes, so that's basically
tired, jet lag.
So you have a Steam Deck, right?
Yeah, I don't.
You should.
No. When I'm on the airplane, it's non-digital. I read and
that's okay.
Try to decompress.
It's either book or Steam Deck.
I like that more than doing emails and doing that entire shit on the airplane, right?
I mean, when you're traveling that much, you just need to unplug a little bit. So
use that time in your advantage, not as just another excuse to work. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm trying to do the reverse engineering of. You say I'm trying to teach them how to find content creators. I'm trying to teach content creators how to be found.
Interesting.
Because in Belgium we have a very particular problem that we're a very small country that's already torn in 3 languages. So having this limited audience makes it that our numbers as content creators will be significantly smaller relative to other countries.
Literal peanuts.
So when we're one of the biggest creators, we still have numbers when you present them to a company. Like, we not interested.
We don't care.
Does that mean? I mean, now we're doing English because I'm.
I
don't speak Dutch or whatever. But I mean, do you normally do English or you?
We do Dutch. So that's always also a choice to make, because I mean, I've made the choice to make my content in Dutch Partly because it's easier to express myself, and I don't have to think about the other language.
Yeah.
And it's also easier to monetize it, because when you have brands that want to cater to the Dutch and the Belgian audience, they're not going to pick someone doing English content because they have an international audience. No, we want the Belgian one.
So you're focused, but it does limit your...
It's we're limited in reach, but we can easily, with limited reach, already make some money off of it, as opposed to when you're doing it in English, you have to kind of fight against huge content creators who already have their place, and everybody has already chosen who they're watching. So you're a big fish in a small pond, or just like plankton in an ocean. I chose to be the big fish in like a puddle.
And look at you now in the Unwrap bus and
with
Cotric.
a bus of our
own. But so I'm really trying we're trying our best to like kind of explain this to companies, and teach other content creators, like, okay, this is how you approach businesses, and I've made websites where you register yourself as a streamer, and it just has a list full of streamers in Belgium.
I have an idea. So you're here for Unwrap, which is the conference that happens once a year. One of the big announcements was the Flanders Game Hub, which is a kind of incubator program for 10 studios from around the Flanders region. You should talk to Rick, who's the director of that.
Yeah, we know him very, very well.
And so you know him well, but you should do like a junior streamers program where you collect up, like you do your own version of that. You grab 5 streamer or 5 content creators, and they come to the hub to meet the developers and do interviews and run their programs on the stream. So they're like practicing on the startups that are in the hub, and the startups in the hub are kind of learning how to engage with streamers and do this. So it's almost like a content creator developmental program in combination with the Flanders Game.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful idea, and I will think about it. But just one problem: working with content creators is absolutely a hellhole.
We're all dicks.
We're absolute dicks. We don't answer our mails.
But if they're up and coming, sort of aspiring, and they're just getting started, they're probably going to.
We also have a big idea of we want to rebuild a caravan to like do a mobile studio, so we can go to Guerrilla in Amsterdam and all these studios, so we can actually go interview people there.
Because we've had some big guests at our studio in
the middle of nowhere. We have at his house, he has a huge place to cater for us. They always say
studios,
but the problem is getting there and inviting people there, like, oh yeah, I want to come, but I don't have a driving license, or
this is the bus. Just get
we need to get this bus rolling. That's the issue. We need a wheel because it has no steering wheel.
That's one of our projects running. One
day this bus is gonna be gone, and we've finally succeeded.
I heard half an hour ago that there might be an solution for our problem. So,
but let's dial it back to you.
Yes.
From all the projects you've been a part of in your career, what's the one thing that you always think about? That's the one. That's the one that's the one that will flash before your eyes when you
die.
What the fuck?
Like the one that you always will think about first if you.
Oof. I mean, we're talking about content creators and stuff. One of those missed opportunities a few years ago, we invested in a team working on a Twitch integrated game. And this was before Twitch had their extensions API that allowed sort of easy integration and whatnot. So we were building kind of overlays and so on. And the idea was that content creators were the players and the spectators were the observers. But the spectators could influence the gameplay and kind of affect, like if you just think of like a Diablo dungeon crawl or something, but the audience, the spectators could like help the streamer that I love, but also kind of thwart the one I didn't like. And so the fans were like fighting each other to support or harm their favored content creator in the game. I'm just a super quick description. There's more to it, but in the end, it just didn't come together. There was too many technical hurdles. We had trouble with the funding because it was way ahead of its time. Again, because it was even before Twitch extensions existed. And I feel that, in the next few years, we're going to see a game like that where like, the content creators will be playing and that looks like what the game is, but the game is not that. The game is the meta game that the spectators are playing. Yeah, and it's monetized at that level, and it's going to be like $1 billion game.
Yeah, we had someone in the bus earlier today who builds those things.
Well, GenVid, right?
Yeah, GenVid.
So GenVid was kind of coming up just as we were doing that stuff, and in fact, we were talking to the founders of GenVid before they even got that started, and kind of comparing notes and stuff. And so they're one version of what that could be. They've kind of gone in a slightly different direction, but that's close. It's close to what we were kind of building at the time. But so I think something. So I mean, I don't know if that's what's going to cross my eyes, but it's definitely one of those things that's like, it's something there.
That was
and we tried to grab, and it didn't quite work ahead of its time. And at one point in a couple of years, there's going to be those, and they're going to be billions of dollars. And it's going to be a completely new sort of format.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's the same with like TV shows and everything. Like the influence of the watcher is still not there, and I think for a lot of people, it's if you can get that right, if you can have that involvement of whoever is watching and create something that's just richer because the sum of its parts. I think there's something there that could really transform the entire industry. The playing field, like level, like change it.
So that's an example.
That's really cool.
I think Unwrap is over.
Oh,
for
no.
today.
Yeah,
it's past 6 o'clock and it's got very quiet in here. We did the same thing last year where we just kept talking and like,
quick, start up the bus. Let's go to the party.
Let's get the bus going.
Yeah, there is an after party. There are some gigs. So
it's the illusions with the launch of BAM.
Yes,
super nice. I mean, that's like kudos. to them. That's a big win for the Flanders game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like another big win.
Yeah, because
another big win.
I know Dirk many years with one of his previous games before he had a success with Space Pirate Trainer. Yeah, he's been plowing away for years. He's a really good developer, so it's really good that he's getting success after success.
Great.
But I suggest we let you go see that, and we can finish up too.
Very good.
And we'll meet
You still
up
need
there.
to get fries with Belgian stew.
No.
Yeah, you need
I
to
refuse.
try. No, you
I
need to
refuse.
try. You need to try. You'll like it.
We have
like,
spices.
you'll go like, oh, poutine.
They're different, but they're both
Yeah. Like,
great.
we were first, right?
Oh,
I would have been
Why
open
is-
to it if you just said we have this cool dish.
why is this?
But
It's
then
like-
you
I
called
say
it
like it's-
like this
like,
is
it's the equivalent.
fighting
It's
words.
older than poutine even, but I'm not saying. Like, you kind of stole it from
Stop
us.
being an internet troll, Jerre.
No, it's true. Like, Pakske stoofvlees is
All right,
it's very
just
old.
try it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's nice.
fine,
It's really
fine.
nice. It's really nice.
very good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you
Absolutely.
for
I'd love to
stepping
pick
by.
your brain more, but we're not allowed to.
Oh,
But maybe we'll see you after this.
I'll be at the party.
All
I'll be
right.
at the party.
We'll chat
You guys
there.
are coming to the party?
Yeah.
Okay.
No idea.
well, now we can judge. Is it going to be cranking music, or it'll be like a nice chill party? Where we
If
can
it's
talk?
the
good
same
part
place
is-
as last
Yeah,
year,
it's
then
gonna be
there's
good.
an outside area where
Okay.
everyone will be standing.
And we're lucky. It's like a real concert hall, so they'll be doing the PA. So
All right,
Perfect.
let's wrap it up.
Yes.
yes,
Thank you very
so
much.
I'm gonna let you outside, and
Yeah,
you can-
I'm going to finish up this.
Thank you, guys.